this is the food that you get out of this home. The idea with it is to illustrate that a family of 4 can stay alive in this home regardless of what happens on the planet, unless they drop an A-bomb right on the house. So this is what we fought for 10 years to be able to do. We could have these all over the country right now. We got some of them, but if I hadn't had to stop 10 years and fight for permission to do it, I always tell people that in the 40 years that I've been doing this, I have spent 75% of my time, my hair color, my money, and my energy fighting to be able to do this, and only 25% is left to do it. That's pathetic. It should be the other way around. But that's because of this corral of codes and regulations and things that just don't apply to what we're faced with on this planet in the future. And we would be a lot further along. We're doing these, this is a flamboyant version of it. I'll have pictures in the workshop tomorrow. But we've got it down, as I said, to an individual home that we call the Global Model Earthship. It is priced very much the same as a conventional home for the same size and quality. The difference is that the Earthship has it's carbon zero for that matter, but it has no utility bill, and utility bills are a big part of the price of living. I mean, you could have Habitat for Humanity is building really nice, well, not really nice, but homes for people all over the world, but they can't afford to live in them, because they have to pay utilities, because they're not really that green of a home. They're getting better. But I mean, the federal government did a bunch of housing for the Indians up in the Nebraska, Dakota area, and they just tore them up because they wanted to get power lines in there and charge them electricity and charge them for gas and drill them wells, and I mean they couldn't afford to live in them. So the architecture of the future, which won't be architecture, I guess, has to be accommodating all of the needs of people, not just shelter. It has to take care of people and feed them. And so if people can at least supplement, if not totally make their own food, there we have fish for protein. We're introducing chickens here next. I go there and I graze at these buildings. I've changed what I eat a lot. I haven't really figured out how to grow a bacon tree yet, but I'm on it. So the buildings, this is just a smattering of the buildings. This is the building that I'm talking about. And the one other thing to point out here to this group is this is just an example of what twisted ways people learn, but I think it could apply here because I flew over and saw a lot of greenhouses and things, probably heated by propane or something, I don't know. A greenhouse, if it's hooked, on the south, the sun's only in the south in this hemisphere, so having greenhouse on both sides doesn't really make sense because the sun's only over here. So if a greenhouse is hooked to mass, it doesn't have to be heated. And in our community, we have a community of 130 homes, and we don't have 130 built yet. There's only about 55 built. And so we have it's obviously a sustainable green Earthship community. Utilities are not even allowed there. You'd think that that's the place to produce food and everything. And we had a homeowner there that wanted to put in a hoop greenhouse, a Quonset hut hoop greenhouse, and heat it with gas. Well, there's no heating in that community. There's no gas. So they had to bring in gas to heat this greenhouse, or else just have it abandoned all winter. And so here we're in a conflict. We are a new age green community, and the community's up in arms about these people that want to put a greenhouse in it. What's wrong? Well, it's the greenhouse design. The greenhouses that can be built in this community are just leaned up against the house, like that. And that's an Amazon jungle in there. You walk in there, there's birds flying around, there's fish jumping and waterfalls, bananas, grapes, and when I left, it was 12 below zero outside at night. And there's no heating in that building. yet it's producing food. So, I mean, greenhouse technology can produce food year-round. You could grow bananas here if you aren't already. I mean, what I'm seeing here is fantastic. If woven into some more thinking, could even go further. I think what's going on here should be, this should be global. This should be on a community level and on food production level and on the right way of living level. This is an example for the world. Pasa, what's going on here? I think definitely the marriage of it and the Earthship thinking is a good thing.
Getting rid of the utilities right now.
It's the everything you're doing, and then you're never going to be done. That's the way we look at it. Is everything that is happening now can be done better and less utilities and less connection infrastructure. Like I say, no matter how clean energy is, the carbon footprint of making an infrastructure is a nightmare, and the maintenance of it. We have a new T-shirt. We do T-shirts. We have a new T-shirt that's a tree. It's a big green tree, and it's got green in the roots down here, G-R-E-E-N. And coming down from that in sort of a rooty way is, I was thinking of this when you all were talking before. Green, G, it's the word gather comes down. And the R, rethink. The first E, three of the people that spoke before me had the word engage in their talk. So it's gather, rethink, engage, evolve, now. So that's a T-shirt we're putting out that uses the words that are embodied in green, and I've heard all of these words already spoken today. It all begins with thinking, and the actual applications are anybody's. Anybody can do any one of them. We do this all over the world. We do it in every country. We have another thing I'll point out on our website, earthship.net, that you're in a rural area. I've seen some of the maps out here. There's a lot of rural places in Pennsylvania that I bet that you can do a lot of things. Near a city is more difficult with permitting and everything, but there have been so many of these kinds of examples done that you can get it through. Some people, I've had people work for 18 months to 3 years on a permit. That's obscene. So we're trying to make it we're trying to devise ways of submerging this technology in what they want to see. It's a lot the way like when you got a dog that has worms and you want to give him a worm pill, you take a ball of hamburger and you put the worm pill in it and you give it to the dog and he woofs it right down. That's the way a lot of sustainable things have to be done these days, is wad it up in a ball of bullshit. I mean, it works. So we've gotten a lot of it through that way. I had a guy come in he came into my office with an oxygen tank on, and oxygen up his nose, and he wants to design and build an Earthship. And I'm like, you're going to be dead before it's even, but we designed it for him. It's in Tucson, Arizona. And this is a guy who should have gotten a permit like that because he doesn't have much time. He fought this old guy, probably my age, fought for 18 months to 2 years, something like that, for his permit, and finally got it, and it is being built right now. But this guy, not only because the planet is desperately needing fast-track permits, this guy needed one worse than anything. And so we're dealing with that, and one of the ways we dealt with it is we wrote this new law. Well, The new law took 4 years to implement, and it's on the books now, Sustainable Testing Sites Act, but it's not, everything has evolved. It's more of an emergency than it was when that law was written. Now we're playing with a thing called executive order. Every governor and president has used it. They can just write an order. They're done in case of emergency, and all they have to do is define the emergency and place an executive order. We're trying to get that implemented. We have drafts of it for fast-tracking carbon zero permits. Any permit that is, any development or building that is proposing and can illustrate that they're near carbon zero or carbon zero, they get a red carpet permit. Shoot first, ask questions later. That happened in New Mexico when they dropped the bomb when they bombed Pearl Harbor. Why they went back to New Mexico. The government went back there without permits and by executive order, built the city of Los Alamos overnight and started testing an atomic bomb and tested it. They killed every spotted owl and rattlesnake for 10,000 square miles. But they did it instantly because we were in jeopardy from Japan. Well, now we're in jeopardy from our own hand. And it's even more of an emergency. And so we're asking for this executive order concept to be used in the legal realm. And it is making some headway. But the other thing, see, like I'm saying, we're doing a lot of different things at once. The other thing is that we are playing with this thing called pockets of freedom, where we're mapping them out on the continental U.S. There are many counties in every state, and I'm sure there are some in Pennsylvania, where you do not need a permit for anything except a septic system. And we have a conventional septic system inherently built into our system. So and people aren't aware of this. People don't want to fight 2 years to get a permit. Just move 20 more miles away and, drive a grease-powered car or something to get to work, or work offline on the internet or whatever. But pockets of freedom are available, and they are out there. And we're doing that now. We just did one in Texas. We did one in Montana. Of course, in developing countries, it's really easy. So it's a matter of not just the technology on these 6 issues that I will present in the workshop, but it's the overall thinking that gets you to them, and it's really they use the word outside the box, but it's much more than that. To think of, to not be limited in thinking or corralled, and really it's going to take some strength to stand up and do it, but for people to empower themselves, like this group has done. And to me, this being here, hearing these people talk, seeing what you have done is an inspiration to me to keep trying to do what I'm doing better. Thank you very much.